What's up, everyone? Happy Friday, October 1st, new month. Pretty crazy how fast this year is going by, but let's get into the watch list. So here's the newsletter watch list. Today, I'm taking a look at Tesla, Netflix, mRNA, NEO, and AMC. And then I just want to highlight the mental notes. It's Friday, so I don't ever feel like I need to push it on a Friday. I hate to end the week on a bad note going into the weekend and thinking about it, so just keeping that in mind. The market's still in a bit of a weird spot. I mean, it's clearly weak. It is gapping up. Every gap up has been sold the last few trading days. So I just want to, kind of have that idea of what the market has been doing recently. Don't want to have too much of a bias, but just realizing that that's what's been happening the last few trading days. And I want to see if it can hold up or not this time. But regardless, don't want to have too much of a bias. My main focus, like always, is the price action and the technical levels. So now let's get into all the technicals, starting with the SPY. So as far as the upside, just looking at this pre-market high, 431.50. If it can hold that and then start to work its way to the upside, maybe this can bounce a little bit, but clearly that prior candle is pretty nasty. So there's a lot of resistance to the left. And then as far as the downside, 429. And now the Qs. So the daily doesn't look great. It's below the 9 EMA, numerous red candles in a row. Every time it gaps up, it gets sold. But as far as the upside level that I'm looking at, pre-market high, 359.50. If this can hold up, maybe this could bounce. And then as far as the downside, 357. And now Tesla. So this is looking pretty good. Nice period of consolidation, flag forming on the daily chart. It's still strong, even though the market has been pretty weak recently. It's above the 9 EMA. So the upside level that I'm looking at, pre-market high, 782. And then who knows, maybe it can start to catch momentum. And then obviously when Tesla gets going, it can have nice big moves. And then as far as the downside, pre-market low, 769. And now Netflix, so recently made a new all-time high. It's slightly extended on the daily chart, but sometimes when these names catch momentum, they can go a little bit farther than anyone anticipates. So as far as the upside, just looking at 619. If it takes that out, I think it has a chance to go higher. And then as far as the downside, pre-market low, 607.50. And now mRNA, which is reacting to the news that Merck has a COVID-19 oral antiviral pill. Also, just look at the daily. This 375 is a major area of support that it broke. So I think it has a chance to really get some selling pressure. As far as the levels I'm looking at, the upside, 382. If it takes out pre-market high and then it starts to move higher, obviously I don't want to fight that trend. And then as far as the downside, I'm just going to keep following this down and make sure to mark pre-market low. And now NEO, which has some news that it delivered 10,628 vehicles globally in September 2021, increasing 125.7% year over year. So the daily has been weak recently. It's gapping above this 37, which was a clear area of resistance, back above the short-term moving averages. Maybe this has a chance to catch some momentum. So the upside level that I'm looking at, pre-market high, 37.20. And then as far as the downside, if for some reason this news gets sold and it starts to break 36, I think that this could pull back a little bit. And last on the list is AMC. The daily is not very clean, but it did wake up yesterday, had a pretty big move on increased volume. It's trading a decent amount of volume in the pre-market today, so I figured it's worth having on watch. As far as the upside level that I'm looking at, 40. If it takes that out, I think it has a chance to catch some momentum. And then as far as the downside, looking at pre-market low, 38.30. And when I was just going over the technicals, I forgot to change the list on the left as far as what I'm watching today. So as you can see, this is my light speed. This is where I'm executing the trades. I know I've mentioned it before, but I figured I'd go through it again real quickly. To the left, I have my Thinkorswim charts. So I'm using Thinkorswim just for charts. And then obviously this whole entire right screen is my light speed. And I'm looking at all of these stocks collectively. And I'm looking at a 2-minute chart on the left. So each one of them is laid out in their own individual chart on a 2-minute chart. And then what I'm doing is I'm looking at all of them together. And then I'm trying to find the one that has the best pattern. And then that's when I quickly switch over to light speed and I take the trade. All right, there's the open. Let's see if we can find some good setups today. So we got AMC that broke that 40 level, but it just went straight up. No real pattern. I mean, I know sometimes these levels get taken out so fast off the open. Occasionally I will take that setup. It's not often, but being that it's a Friday, I want to make sure to be patient, be careful. I don't want to take really quick trades off the open. So it got there, but I'm just going to let it go. Now, I'm obviously looking at everything else. But if AMC can push past this, form some sort of flag pattern, then I would think that'd be a good setup. And that's a good example right there. I mean, sometimes these levels go fast, right? They break, and then it's easy to look back at it and say, man, had I just gone long off the open, it would have worked this time. The reason why I don't want to make that a habit is because of something like this. Because right into that 40, pre-market high break, looked pretty good, and then instantly yanks back aggressively. So that's why I'm just not a fan of taking trades really quick off the open. Even if I look back at it and I go, it worked this time, I know there's going to be the one time where it doesn't work. And when it doesn't work, it's usually a huge loss because it pulls back or bounces very aggressively. Still just watching. I don't see much that I like at the moment. So let's just do a quick review of what's going on. So looking at the SPY, showing a little bit of weakness right now. Does it lead to something more? No idea. It does have the open downside gap at 429.14. Looking at the Qs. Qs went red slightly, just kind of hanging right at that close. Does it start to sell? It does have prior day low below as well. So I don't know, a little too early to tell. Looking at Tesla, had the push, just consolidating right below VWAP. Looking at Netflix, broke the lows, showing a little bit of weakness right now. Let's check out mRNA. mRNA, no real clean pattern, but it is weak at the moment. Looking at NEO, NEO's below VWAP. And then also AMC had the push, quickly sold off just below VWAP in the 9 as well. So at this moment, I don't really like anything. And when I'm in that place, I know that I just need to be patient. Wait for something to look really good, wait for a nice clean pattern, and then give it a chance. Otherwise, I don't need to push it. And that's why trading can be so tough, because a lot of it sometimes is just waiting for the setups to look really good based on what works for you. And where some people get into trouble is they take trades based on every single tick, that just because a stock is moving, they need to trade it a lot because, oh, well, it went up and it went down and I could have made money there and I could have made money doing that. But at the end of the day, most people do better when they trade just a little less. Wait for things to look really good, wait for that right spot, and then that's the moment where things can really work out well. So mRNA, clear weakness. I mean, this is pretty aggressive selling on some decent volume too. So a lot of red candles in a row. I'm not going to chase this. I would like to see this form some sort of flag pattern, a nice period of consolidation, move lower, consolidate, go sideways, break the lows, next leg lower. That's what I'd be looking for. Just trying to be patient, wait for that right setup, one good trade. That's kind of my mentality. I know that a lot of times I'm taking anywhere from 1 to 3, but really just trying to focus on one good trade. It's all it takes, just patiently waiting for one good setup. Take the opportunity, try to manage risk to the best of your ability. And then if it works, especially with these high movers, these big moving stocks like mRNA and Tesla, when they go in your favor, they move big. And that's where some nice P&L can come from. And mRNA sold off so much that it's on the circuit breaker with Lightspeed, which just means the uptick rule. So you can't get filled on short orders unless you get filled on the ask. So you can't just hit a market order and hit the bid. The one cool thing about options, though, is they don't apply. So obviously, if I just wanted to take puts, I can just buy the puts. But when it comes to trading shares and stock, if I were to just go, hit the bid market order, there's a good chance that I'm not going to get filled. So I'm looking at mRNA. I do like this bounce right here. I like that it's bouncing to the 9 and VWAP. So I'm going to be looking at the 345 puts. Okay, I'm going to go for the short right there, coming into 346. So bounced. Failed to move higher, broke the low of that candle. I just want to see if this can get some momentum to the downside. All right, so just hanging right around the 9 in the VWAP. Just want to see a nice flag pattern, big move lower. Just trying to give this a chance to break down. Small size, only 3 contracts, so just trying to let it work. You got low a day at 341.75. Maybe you can get there. Got some size, the whole number, 345. All right, broke through it, nice. Okay, I'm just going to get out of that. So started to bounce right around low a day, had 3 red candles in a row, and overall, I'm pretty happy with that trade. And I was way more patient than I normally am because I sized down. I knew it was a crazy mover, 3 contracts, just try to let it work because it was below the VWAP, it was below the 9, just trying to use those indicators. And as it failed, started to show some weakness, nice flag pattern. I ended up just taking it off into weakness, and this will probably make a new low and go a little bit further. But I held that for almost 10 minutes, which is a lifetime for me. And I got a nice move on the contracts, so I just took the profits. And there it goes. So it made a new low a day, hard to catch the whole move. I could have been slightly more patient, but to be honest, holding this for almost 10 minutes, that's already an improvement, which I'm trying to work on just a little bit. I don't ever want to hold trades for hours, but maybe longer than the 1 or 2 sometimes when things are working in my favor. Just try to give them a few more minutes to catch a little bit more of the move. So overall, this trade, even though I didn't catch the whole move, I feel like I did a pretty good job being a little bit more patient than I normally am. And now we're going on 31 minutes into the day. And like I was talking about earlier in the video, it's all about trading less. I'm really trying to focus on not being so active, even though of course I can be guilty of doing that some days, but it's a Friday. I got one nice trade on mRNA. So I know that at this moment right now, I'm better off just calling it a day. and starting the weekend early. No reason to mess a good thing up, so now let's go check out the P&L. The one nice trade on mRNA, only 3 contracts and made $520. Very happy with the trade and glad that I was able to be slightly more patient to get a nice move. That's going to be it for me. Have a good weekend. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. I just want to highlight a couple really cool things that I have to offer. The first is my newsletter watch list that I'm going to be posting on my private Twitter 30 minutes before the open of each trading day. Here's an example of what that's going to look like. So I'm going to do a quick overview of the market, the SPY, the Qs, the upside levels, the downside levels, and then a sentence or two as to the overall bigger picture. Make sure to highlight any market news or events that are happening that day. And then I'm going to list the 4 to 6 stocks that I'm watching that day. If there's any company specific news, all the upside levels and the downside levels, and then do a quick bigger picture, a couple sentences as to what's going on in the daily chart. This is everything that's in my head prior to market open. This is how I prepare, and a really easy way to get access to my trading process. One page with everything I'm looking at, all the technical levels, and all the news delivered 30 minutes before market open in a really organized fashion. Also, I have a call service, so if you want something that's a little bit less of a commitment, you want to connect with me directly, talk about my trading, my journey along the way, and just connect with another trader, this is really great. And this can be a video call or a regular call, whatever you're comfortable with. It's a one-time fee, and it's going to be for 1 hour. So if you're interested in either one of these, I will put the links in the description below.